You eat food, what you eat, that goes through the mouth. That particular sense object goes through your mouth. So you are eating food. Likewise, with eyes, you are constantly eating color and form. With the ear, you are constantly eating sound. Likewise, with the rest of the two sense organs. So not only through the mouth you eat, through the rest of the four sense organs, you eat those respective sense perceptions. Now we will get on to the United States of Experiences. Just kidding, that was a clickbait title. We'll analyze the three states of human experiences. Earlier we discussed the human composition based on the material, the gross body, subtle body and causal body. Then based on the personality, we discussed the 5 layers. Now based on human experiences, what they go through day in and day out, as you all know, based on the experiences, we can classify into 3 states of experiences. The one naturally, now you are in the waking state of experience. Then when you go to sleep, you get into a dream state of experience. And there is another state where you get into a deep sleep state of experiences. As I had mentioned earlier, deep sleep state of experience meaning a state of sleep where there is no dream. Dreamless sleep, we can call it as deep sleep. So these are the 3 states of experiences every human being go through. But at a given point in time, you will be either only in one state. Either you will be in waking state of experience, or you will be in dream state of experience, or you will be in deep sleep state of experience. So as far as analysis is concerned, okay, you are awake, waking state. When you dream, yeah, dream state, deep sleep state. But is that all? Maybe there is little more to this analysis. Again, earlier when we analyzed the 3 bodies, we took 4 factors into consideration, right? What is the gross body, the material is made of, what are the components, function, and the nature. In this case, for the 3 states of experience, we will consider 3-factor analysis. What are the 3 factors? Because all these 3 states is predominantly contributed by the subtle body, the first aspect that we would consider for analysis in each state would be the condition of the subtle body. What is the state of the mind and intellect, memory and ego in each of the experiences. The second point that we would analyze is the nature of experience, because this is based on experiences. The classification is based on experiences. We will analyze what is the nature of this particular experience in each state. And the third factor that we would consider in analysis would be the predominant medium. What is the predominant medium that surfaces in each of the experiences? So now we will move on to the analysis of the waking state of experience. In the waking state of experience, now we will see what is the condition of the subtle body. As you all know, in the waking state, the subtle body is fully functional. What is the subtle body constitute of predominantly? The mind, intellect, memory, ego. If you see, the mind fully functions, intellect supposed to function fully functional, but you only know how much percentage of your intellect functions in your waking state of experience. And needless to say, the memory keeps on recording all your experiences in the waking state. And ego, needless to say, ego contributes, ego fully manifests in the waking state of experience. Now in this, what happens when all the internal organs function? Internal organs means I am talking about the subtle body, mind, intellect, memory, ego. When it is fully operational, it deploys the power centers. The power center of perception is deployed. All that we will see the nature, we will discuss in detail in the nature of experience. What I'm trying to say is, the condition of the subtle body is that it can gather new experience and add new desires, gather fresh knowledge, because the availability of mind, intellect, memory, ego. So this is as far as condition of the subtle body. Now the next factor is the nature of experience in the waking state with the contribution of the subtle body. The nature of experience is, it's external. The gross body, mind and intellect is always directed external. You have an objective universe. From you being a subject, you see the objects and the beings around, and the experience is external. Not only it's external, as we know, it's concrete in the sense it's a tangible universe. The universe that you see is made of matter, and it is perceptible by the fleshy organs of perception, is backed by the power center of perception. So it's a very concrete universe that you see outside. Not only it's concrete, it's objective, as I said. Objective in the sense it's your gross body is available for perception for yourself. The external objects is also perceptible by you. Likewise, you are perceptible to the persons around you, and the persons around you also have a perceptible universe. And most important is, the waking state of experience is predominantly based on sense organs, the 5 sense organs of perception backed by the power center of perception. And the power center of perception is directed by the mind. But for the sense organs to function, the power center of perception to function, it needs the physical fleshy organs of perception. What are the 5 organs of perception? Ear, to hear sound. Skin, to feel. Touch, hard, soft, hot, cold, we discussed earlier. Then eyes. Eyes are used for perceiving color and form. Then nose for smell and tongue for taste. So these are the 5 perceptions, and the act of perception is normally done by the fleshy organs, which is directed to the world, and this fleshy sense organ is backed by the power center of perception. Now, with these 2 alone, can the perception be completed? No. You need the sense objects around. The sense objects also participate, and the entire world comprises of these 5 sense perception. If one sense perception is gone, 20% of the world intake is gone. How do we say that? Consider all your 5 senses are shut off, even as you are awake. Then what happens? There is no way any aspect of the objective world can enter into your system. This can happen partially, like when you are deeply engrossed in reading something, right? If somebody calls you, somebody calls you from outside, and there are sound waves traveling. It's going through your pinna, going through your cochlea, eardrum, malleus, incus, stapes. All that is happening, but there is no participation by the power center for hearing. If that is not directed towards the frequency of sound that is coming to the ear, perception is not registered. Or consider a state of deep sleep or dream. Even in deep sleep and dream, in fact, all your 5, the fleshy sense organs are open. For example, I'm saying, except we are talking about mouth and eyes, which most of them close and sleep. But consider a hypothetical situation. Your ears are open when you sleep. Your nostrils are open. Your skin is exposed. Even when a mosquito bites, sometimes if you are in deep sleep, you don't feel the sensation. Somebody shouts, if you are in deep sleep, you can't hear. You can see some people open their eyes and sleep. It's not that they want to open their eyes and sleep. It so happens the eyelids are open, but they are sleeping. They are in deep sleep. Sometimes it's very scary to look at those people. But it happens. And alongside, some have the habit of opening the mouth and sleeping. And all 5 senses are open, but still you won't register any perception, because There is no backing by the corresponding power center of perception. In other words, always the fleshy organs are directed outside for perception. The direction comes from the power center of perception. That happens in casual perception. But moment you want to concentrate or do something, what happens? The mind and intellect also backs the power centers of perception. For example, if when a doctor does surgery, it's not only his organs of actions coordinating, his power of seeing should be very sharp, the power of hearing should be also very sharp, and the power of touching is also should be very sensitive. So with these three organs predominantly functioning in perception, that is backed by the mind, and the mind is backed by the intellect. The intellect of the doctor directs the mind to do the surgery, focus on the surgery. Along with that, the perception should be sharp. This is the nature of experience, which is predominantly sense organ based. For the sense organ based waking state of experience, the waking state of experience is dependent predominantly on sense organs perception. For it to happen, we said the sense object should be there, external world, the sense organ should function. Only the sense organ alone can function? No, it needs the subtle body. But then, for that subtle body to function, to register the perception, the gross body the fleshy organ should be there. For the fleshy organ to operate, the fleshy organs are placed where? In the gross body. This is predominantly gross body based. Apart from that, another nature of the experience in the waking state, it is transactional. The sense we saw earlier, receipt of stimuli, reaction within, there is response back. You can do positive action, either positive or negative action, that could add up to your total cumulative desires. So this is the nature of experience. The third factor to consider in the waking state of experience is what is the predominant medium. I think I mentioned earlier, the predominant medium is the gross body. So without the fleshy organs of perception, we cannot perceive any objects in the external world. And the fleshy organs of perception has to be in the gross physical body, and this gross physical body is operated by the power centers of perception and the mind and intellect. But then the predominant medium is the gross body. Now, what it takes to be in your waking state is your cumulative resultant desires. Both your positive and negative actions of the past pushes you to this waking state of experience. And in this state of experience, you remember the powers, the knowing power, the desiring power, the acting power. These three predominantly takes over in the waking state of experience. Now, we will analyze the dream state of experience. Before we move on to the three-factor analysis of the dream state of experience, I thought I would give you some background information that normally happens in waking state of experience. So you all know in waking state of experience that you contact the world and there is a lot of perceptions that you register. So all your experiences of the waking world, one is you operate with your mind or intellect and you go about doing your activities from morning till evening. But there is somebody in your personality keeps on recording all these experiences. That's the aspect of the subtle body, that's the memory aspect. The human memory is an extraordinary device. You have got so many GBs, TBs, and whatever capacity of external hard drive that you have, internal hard drive that you have on your gadgets, the memory capacity of the mind is multifold times bigger than the capacity of different external gadgets that you have. In the sense, all the experiences are recorded in how many dimensions? Maximum 3D movies, you have got 3-dimensional recording, okay, it occupies space and all that. But what the memory does is, your 5 not only records sound, it records color and form, it records feelings and touches, it records taste, It records smell. All the 5 perception of all your experiences are recorded in 5-dimensional. It's a 5-dimensional recording. That apart, what all the different kind of emotions that you have, emotional experiences, that is being recorded. All your intellectual decisions, intellectual calculations, thinking, reasoning, judging, all the functions of the intellect that you do throughout the day, those calculations and functions are also recorded in the memory. Everything that you do, to an extent, some of your involuntary actions also recorded in the memory. That's the power of the memory. Not only it records those experiences that you go through externally, there will be a lot of imaginations that you have before you set a goal or anything, doesn't matter. Simple imagination, your mind itself projects something. While you are awake, you imagine of some beautiful things, or you imagine to have a dinner with a celebrity, or you are taking selfie with your favorite sports person. So many imaginations that you entertain. Those mental pictures are also recorded in the memory. Then some of you who carry, apart from imagination, there are some people live in a fantasy world. So those fantasy world, fantasy experiences which they project on your mind while awake, those fantasy experiences, those creative experiences, that what they want to, they kind of spin a mental picture or mental video. Those experiences also recorded. So that's why it's one of the biggest recording device known to mankind. And please note, all this recording is happening in the memory, and don't equate memory to the brain. As I said, I'm going to discuss in detail about what is to do with consciousness, brain and all that at a later stage. As of now, you might have questions, you might have your observations, you might have your validations, as we said earlier. But right now, keep it aside. The recording happens in the memory, and memory belongs to the subtle body. It has nothing to do with the gross fleshy organ of the brain. During your waking state, I've still not come to the analysis of dream state. I'm still explaining what is happening in the waking state that is contributing to the dream. Now, during the waking state, apart from what all the experience that you recorded, in a way, when you eat food, what you eat, that goes through the mouth. That particular sense object goes through your mouth. So you are eating food. Likewise, with eyes, you are constantly eating color and form. With the ear, you are constantly eating sound. Likewise with the rest of the 2 sense organs. So not only through the mouth you eat, through the rest of the 4 sense organs you eat those respective sense perceptions. That goes. So throughout the day, one constantly eat. If somebody eat constantly food, incidentally I want to remind you of another aspect. It's a slight deviation, but for what it is worth, this can kind of help you. I call it as a traffic jam of life. What happens? How much food? You constantly eat food, right? How much food one can eat? If a person keep on eating, what happens to his gross physical body? He's going to burst and die. So there is limitation of the physical body, that it can eat only certain amount of food, with exception. Exception is the ancient Romans. How they party is incredible. I'm sure most of you know, but for those who don't know, just a piece of information. Ancient Romans, they were really well off. They would throw party feast every now and then. And the number of dishes they keep is enormous. And human stomach capacities, whatever, everyone knows their capacity, but it's not going to be too much. Even the guy who has the biggest appetite can't eat endlessly. What they do, they eat maybe the starters. I don't know if that practice is followed then, but consider they eat initial course of meal. Then after a while, eat some wine, drink some wine. Then they go to a vomiting pit. They would vomit what they ate, empty the stomach, then freshen themselves up, and then go for the next meal. So that's the abundance of sense pleasure ancient Romans had. Anyway, coming back to the discussion, as far as the gross physical body is concerned, there is limitation in the amount of food that you can take. The body can hold certain. But is there such a kind of limitation with the mind? When your rest of the sense perceptions are open to the world, anything you see goes into your eyes. Anything you hear goes into your system. anything touches. There is no limitation. Keep on taking in thoughts. That's why I term, finally it amounts to eat in form of thoughts. When you eat in form of thoughts, what happens? You remember, receipt of stimuli, then goes into the mind. Most of the time it goes to the mind without consultation of the intellect. The mind keeps on adding the stream of thoughts, converts into desire. We already discussed, one desire is equal to a stream of thought flow towards one object. So when this eating thought constant, and at one point, how much then the organs of action should react and go about fulfilling those desires. We talked about there is the disparity builds up. When the disparity builds up, when the road is narrow, when hundreds of cars are wanting to get in, get out, which is equating, each car is equated to one desire, there is a huge traffic jam in the mind. Because of that, each desire, unfulfilled desires, goes into fluctuations, agitations. One or two is okay, adjust and move. Some desires can wait. But when huge pile of desires wanting to get fulfilled, and there is an incapacitance in terms of the physical body, in terms of financial resources, what happens to the person? Stress. That is stress. Stress is nothing but the acute mental agitations caused by those unfulfilled desires, and those unfulfilled desires gathered in short span of time, not allowing the intellect to process it systematically. Because every desire wants an exit route, every desire wants to get fulfilled, that pushes you into stress. Okay, we will discuss in a different topic when we get to stress. We'll do a greater anatomical study of stress. But this is an aside note because we have come into the topic of eating thoughts. So throughout the day, now we will go into the analysis of dream state of experience. Throughout the day, as I said, you are eating thought constantly, right? To that extent, you agree with me. We are all not Romans. Even present day Romans can't feast like how the Romans feasted earlier in their ancient Roman Empire, how they feasted. Likewise, the current day Romans can't feast, and common man can definitely not feast. But independent of that, there are sense objects. If you eat different things during a day, you go to a wedding party or you go to any party, it so happens there is a buffet, you happen to eat a lot of food. And because of the time limitation or whatever reasons, you happen to eat more than your capacity. What happens? And different kinds of food. Some food which you have not tasted, some food you usually like, you eat more, some kind of drink, all that when happens, this is not a regular activity. So naturally, some aspect of the food get undigested or something could have contaminated in the food. So what the system does? Remember that reversal system, ESG system that we talked about? That has nothing to do with what I'm going to say now. Undigested food is thrown out of the system by vomiting. You puke undigested food when the food is contaminated or when your body cannot hold that anymore in your gross body, the food is thrown out through your mouth. So you puke. Equate that. This is with regard to eating gross food. Equate this particular action of eating too many thoughts. Eating too many thoughts in the sense, you go about in the world, you have different experiences. Some are unwanted experiences, some are one-off experiences, some are extraordinary experiences, some are regular experiences. But together, here and there, you get into some unconnected experience. With your choice or without your choice, you happen to eat in so many experiences. In other words, it boils down to eating so many thoughts. Similar to how people eat food, it goes into your system. The thoughts goes into your system, and some of those unconnected experiences are not fully, when I said unconnected experiences, those thought structures are not fully thought through to the end of it. You just have partial experience and move on to partial experience. It's like going to an exhibition. You have time limitation. You see so many things in the exhibition. You have not experienced every booth fully. That's the typical example that we can give of. So some of the experiences at the subtle body level, some of the thoughts are not fully thought through, means fully not digested. So some undigested, where the thoughts go, we already know it's all stored in the memory. and some of the undigested thoughts needs a vent. It can't keep into the system. So you have to vomit the thoughts out. Undigested thoughts throwing out from the memory is the dream state of experience, dream. So I repeat, those thoughts that are not thought through enough goes into your system and gets undigested. Those thrown out undigested thought is your dream. And these undigested thoughts come from where? Memory. Because all those experiences are stored in memory. After the memory arranges itself, it needs to, this computer defragmentation. So likewise, the unwanted, undigested thoughts are thrown out from the memory, and those thrown out thoughts are dream. With this understanding, now we will go into the three-factor analysis of the dream state of experience.